Hello, everybody. I feel a bit dizzy, like a whirlpool. For those that remember the song, particularly like the Vic Reeves cover version of it with the Wonder Stuff, many, many moons ago. Today, I'm going to be talking to the wonderful Emily Gray about her life in music. But first, we're going to have this video, which will probably send my mind even more spinning into a frenzy. Emily, thank you for joining me. Where are you coming from?
Hi, thank you for having me. So I live in Catalonia in Spain.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I should have known that, but I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
It is most of the time. Right now, the weather's horrible though. It's like raining and it's windy.
Really? Spain. What? Have you always lived in Spain? I mean, is this a recent thing that you've moved to Spain, etc.?
So I haven't always lived in Spain, but it's not like recent either. I've been here for like 5 years now.
Wow.
And I really like it. It's taken a lot of getting used to. It took me a while to kind of find the music people around here, but I've made some really good friends and I've joined a band, and yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. What made you head on out that way in the first place? Was it to do with Freddie Mercury? Because obviously I heard you earlier today on the old Instagram doing a bit of Freddie, and of course, you know, he loved Barcelona. So is that why you headed on that way, or
It actually wasn't, but it's a fun coincidence. No, I moved here because my mum had already moved here, so she had been living here for a while, and I'd always wanted to like get out of England. Because I think when you live somewhere your whole life, you kind of get fed up of it. So I moved in with my mum, with my boyfriend, and then we ended up getting our own place here. But luckily, it was just before Brexit, so it was relatively easy to get all the paperwork done and stuff.
right? I'm going to rewind you there for a minute because you said with your mum and your boyfriend. Did that was that okay?
Yeah, it was until kind of lockdown happened.
Oh
But
my word!
it's okay because it was my mum's husband, and me and my boyfriend, and
Right.
at the time, like also 20 dogs, because my mum has like a lot of land, so she
Right.
has a lot of outside dogs. There's not so many dogs now, but um, it wasn't too bad because although we were in lockdown together, there was a lot of outdoor space, so we could go for a walk around the land. So it wasn't too bad. We're all still
20
friends.
dogs. 20 dogs. Sounds like your
Yeah,
mum's Batsy Dogs home for Spain. Wow.
it kind of ended up
Wow.
that way. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like abandoned dogs out here. Well, before the law was quite relaxed, so they had a lot of problems with like dogs in the streets without homes and stuff. And my mum just took them in, my mum and her husband.
I see. Now listen, online you talk about your music being something to help people kind of reconnect again because you feel like there's like a lot of distraction in life. What sort of distraction are you talking about?
Well, I guess ironically, social media. I have
Yeah,
a real
it's
love
kind of ironic.
relationship. Oh, don't, because you have to, as a musician, like if you want to build a career, you have to try and find a way to use it positively without becoming addicted to it and without like getting obsessed over the numbers. It's really difficult. But in terms of, for example, when you're tired and you just get stuck in that scroll hole and you know you should be doing something, but you're just like staring at your phone and you can't stop, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Although some people would argue that maybe at least if you're being creative and you're putting stuff out there and whatever, that's kind of perhaps a more positive thing than getting stuck playing Tetris for hours on end. Where I don't know. I mean, nothing against anyone that plays Tetris for hours or anything like that, but maybe it's a productive use of your time as opposed to something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It absolutely can be. I just think, like with anything, it's moderation. You need to be sensible with it and be careful, because it's very easy to fall into the trap, not even being physically addicted, but especially as a musician, like just constantly worrying about the numbers. The numbers can be very all-consuming sometimes.
Do you not worry about the numbers? Can I ask you that? Do you like? So what if you don't worry about the numbers? What do you worry about?
Well, okay, I do worry about the numbers, and I also worry about like basically everything. And that's why I make music,
Oh, right.
to get the ones out of my head and put them onto paper.
Okay.
It's
So we're getting to
impossible not to worry about the numbers.
You're a worrier. Yeah. Have you always been a worrier? Were you born a worrier? Did you used to worry a lot as a child? Did you used to go, Mum, we should be worrying about the end of the world, or should we worry this, etc.? What was the first thing that you kind of worried about in life?
I don't know. I've always been an overthinker. I
Right.
had a bit of a rough childhood and a rough young ageness. What do you call it? Young adulthood. And I've always struggled with my mental health. But now I'm like the best I've ever been, because I don't know, I'm putting a lot more effort into like maintaining myself physically and mentally, and I have this goal of music. But yeah, just overthinking. You know how it is. If you say something to someone and you think, oh no, did I say that in a weird way? Oh my God, they hate me. Everyone hates me. Like I should just hide under the covers forever. Just that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Is that the
Yeah,
worst thing in the world in terms of like online stuff? Is that kind of breakdown in communication because someone sends you an emoji and you don't know whether they mean that they're like the thumbs up, someone is that actually a thumbs up? Is that a positive thing, or does that mean I'm not listening to you, or I don't care? Or do you know what I'm saying? That kind of like, because people don't necessarily come with a full conversation anymore. Yeah.
I understand. It's definitely easy to misinterpret things, especially online.
Are you addressing those things in your songs? Are you trying to help us to think the right way again, or are you literally just using your music as an escape for yourself, or where does it sit?
So I like to think it's both. I'm trying to help people. So two songs come to mind, like with this particular topic. I wrote a song called Hidden Message a few years back, which is basically about how like not everything in life has a hidden meaning. Like I used to try and find meaning in everything. Like the first lyric is, sometimes a storm is just a storm. It's not a metaphor for your tempestuous thoughts.
Oh,
In
like
terms
that.
of like, yeah, you don't have to find meaning in everything. Sometimes things just are, and it's fine. It's fine to just exist. You don't need to analyze everything.
Yeah, like you wake up, you look out the window, you see like one magpie, or
Yeah,
this is or
the
this
next
is
lyric
happening.
is, sometimes a magpie is just a bird. It's not an omen gone unheard. So you
Yeah.
called it.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Exactly that. I think we're kind of really prone to that these days. Possibly not necessarily in those highly kind of superstitious type ways, but kind of just more, as I said before, with around things like breakdown in communication, sort of misunderstanding of meanings or whatever. I think we just tend to like, and I do see that within social media, that somebody will put something on, somebody will comment, you'll get a response to it, and then you'll think, oh, have I upset them? Maybe
Yeah.
I've upset them. What do I say now? And then you'll say something, and then like, oh no, I've upset them even more. And it just spirals, And we should just all pick the phone up at that point and go, I don't know what you took by any of that, but so sorry, I didn't mean any of all of it. Was just, you know, can we just have a proper conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing of the past now, though, picking up the phone, especially with like the younger generation. Even me, like I think I've grown out of it a little bit now, but like talking on the phone is terrifying. It's horrible.
But why? Yeah, why is that though? Why is it? Why are young people terrified of of using the phone? Is it? It's partly, I reckon, because they've never done it, right?
Maybe.
You know, the thing is, the only way that a phone, or the only thing a phone was used for when I was a kid, was being a phone, right?
Yeah.
That was literally it. A
I
phone.
know.
The whole purpose of a phone was to make a phone call. Now, it's virtually the one thing that a lot of people don't do on a phone is make a phone call. It's like, if I can send you a WhatsApp or a text or a, you know, Facebook message or whatever else, I'm going to do that first. Then I'll phone you. You know, it's just
I know
dreadful.
exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
stage fright. It's anxiety. It's like if you send a message, you can think about exactly how you want to word that message and make sure it's perfect. But if you're on the phone, what if you say something stupid in the moment? That's
I
what it
know.
is. It's
I
actually
know.
interacting with a real person.
I know, but let's face it, right? It's just annoying.
Oh yeah.
And you know, yeah, and especially, I mean, it's like, you know, you phone your children. I've got 5 children, by the way. You phone your children to tell them to put the dinner on or something, and it would be like, "Hello, yeah, you right? What? Right, the dinner. Hmm? It's like, what? Just can't you have a conversation? It's like, oh, hi, Dad. Yeah."
I think they grow out of it, honestly. I hope so anyway. I don't know
I,
about the young ones today, but
I really think maybe we do. Maybe we just need to all start talking an awful lot more
yeah,
from an
I agree.
earlier age. I can name a few songs that kind of mention that. So, in terms of your music, you're actually trying to help people in all of these things as well. But when do you find the writing process yourself helps you in terms of your mental health, and you know, do you find it quite cathartic to write?
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of brings me back to the other song that I wanted to talk about, which is called Tsunami. And I think I released that one, it's almost a year ago actually to the day. And I wrote that song like when I was feeling a bit upset, you know, or something had upset me and normally back in the day I probably would have gone out drinking or done something self-destructive, but instead I wrote this song. And it's about like befriending your demons and kind of sitting with your feelings and learning to understand yourself rather than like running away from your feelings. Yeah.
Do you? Oh, that's an interesting thing to be talking about. Do you think that we do run away from our demons most of the time? Do you think most people do that, or do you think that, you know, certain people are more prone to facing things head on? Perhaps I think
I think
that to some extent, I think we all kind of try and run away, don't we?
it comes with like self-awareness, I think, like experience and age and like a willingness to, I don't know, like for me, I didn't want to be stuck in a loop of forever repeating the same self-destructive behaviors. So I had to try and find a way out of it. But I think it's normal for us to like try and numb ourselves in one way or another, whether it's like video games or hard drugs, like it all does the same thing, you know?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting when you give up anything. I think
Mm.
that does numb you. I mean, I gave up drinking alcohol about 3 years ago now, and it's a really interesting experience because slowly but surely, once you get past the point where you don't even think about alcohol anymore, you get to the point where it's kind of like just observing other people's, but you start observing other people's behavior that need that, and you think,
Mhm.
wow, that's just weird. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't understand. You know, you just think, what was I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything here, because ultimately you just think, well, I'm still drinking liquid. I can still get something that tastes nice in my mouth and whatever. But ultimately, I'm just, and I can still be crazy at times. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. By the way, I'm not having to go at anybody that does drink. I mean, that's entirely for you. But it is quite an interesting experience when you kind of, I think, if you give up anything that's some kind of drug that kind of numbs you in some shape or form, the clarity aspect that comes with that is quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think the drinking culture is definitely worse in the UK. Like people drink to,
Get
I
drunk.
don't know, to get drunk, but to get stupid drunk, especially when you're young. And it's just such a bad idea, but it's part of our culture. I like moving away made me realize that like drinking and pubs are like an essential part of British culture, whether we like it or not. But it's amazing some of the states that people get themselves into.
It is different in other parts of Europe, very much so. Having travelled around different parts of Europe, where I mean, I've even been in like factories and whatever in places like Holland and whatever, where they serve alcohol at lunchtime, but it is so controlled and people are
Yeah.
so sensible about it. It's nobody's going to be affected. The work's not going to be affected. Nobody's going to be affected by it. It's almost like it's just a social thing. It's not a like, well, the grog's come out. Let's see how much of that we can put down our throats before that. I think. Do you feel like English people in general? I mean, obviously, generalizations are generalizations, but do you think we're just kind of quite prone to like excess anyway?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially in terms of alcohol, and for some reason the lockdown comes to mind, the whole toilet paper thing. We just, I don't know, we can't just have a little bit of a thing. We need to have all of the thing.
Yeah, we feel like, is it a big FOMO thing in some respects? We just feel like we're missing out. We maybe need to do it kind of bigger, better, extreme, in a more extreme way than everybody else.
I don't know, maybe.
And I think maybe we align ourselves with American culture in that respect as well. It's like food things. I mean, again, in Spain, I haven't spent an awful lot of time in Spain, but people are a little bit more culturally appropriate when it comes to things like eating food. For example, you'd eat a sensible amount of food. You wouldn't go, right, I'm going to have the biggest paella that I can possibly eat. Let's see if I can stuff myself silly.
It's true. Well, yeah. So here, actually, where I am in Catalonia, it's normal to have like 5 meals a day, but like just little meals. Yeah, exactly. And then usually, the meals will be like a social thing. So it's a lot cheaper to eat out and to have drinks out because it's normal for people to go out and eat out. And you'll have like, a beer or two and you'll have different tapas. And it's much more of a social thing than it is, as you said, let's just see how much food I can physically fit in me. But in England, like pub food, for example, the portions are insane. Here it doesn't really happen.
What about music out there? Is that quite a social thing as well? Do you find that like people will just kind of like rock up on a corner and start playing their guitar as opposed to, I mean, everything's quite structured here now. I remember years ago, it used to be a bit more. I know some people still do go out busking or whatever, but you still have to, over here, you still have to really think about that if you're going to go busking now. Whereas, we used to just turn up somewhere at a monument and start busking. You'd get arrested now. But over there, well, you would in some places. But over there, I mean, is it kind of just kind of, again, with music, do you find like people will just like find a spot somewhere, start playing or whatever? Do people just get together to play music or does that sort of gathering of people to play music exist?
Well, where I am in Tortosa, it's like a small city. So like basically, no, that never happens. It's actually illegal to busk here.
Oh man.
And yeah, I've not seen any buskers in the streets. Like when I used to live in England, I lived in Ipswich, and there were always buskers. Every time I went into town, there'd be like 2 or 3 people busking. I don't know if maybe that's like declined now because things are a lot more like cashless than they used to be, so people don't have money to give the buskers.
Oh
But
well, buskers just have card machines now, so it's
they do.
yeah.
That's amazing. But yeah, it's illegal here, and I don't really see anyone ever playing in the streets. It's really sad.
So where do you play music out in Spain? Where do you typically play?
So I play at the moment mostly with my band, at like events. So for example, the other week we played in at a pub or a bar outside, and that was really good. Next week we've got like an outdoor festival. The same thing with next month. We did a wedding, we've done a party. Um, and then my solo stuff is usually like bars. I did a solo gig for St. Patrick's Day, like in this bar outside, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and it was really good. But it's more like you have to kind of know the right people. It took me a while to find the circuits and the people, but now that I've got the connections, like things are coming a bit more easily. But it took a while.
And are the Spanish audience, are they hungry for original music, or have you had to try extra hard to find spaces where you can your own music will go down, or do you have to play like always have to play a mixture of your stuff and other people's stuff? What's that like?
So my band is just covers.
Yeah.
But we sort of like in the future we want to develop some of my original songs and have like the band backing me. But that's for the future. I think it's the same as it is in England. Like people just sadly they just want to hear the same things they've always heard. Like if you go and see a covers band and they're playing the songs that you really love from the 80s and 90s, you're going to get excited. And then if they say, oh, we're going to play an original now, you're like, well, I don't know this one, I'm going to go to the toilet, for example. But yeah, I don't know, I think that I get more traction on the internet with my original songs, and then
Yeah.
hopefully it will translate into real life one day.
Well, I think we have venues over here where it is about showcasing like new material, and it is about that. I think it's unfortunately I think it is a dying breed. I think there's probably less spaces for that than there used to be. I don't think that there isn't a hunger for it. I think we've just created I dare I say it, I do think we've created generations of lazy listeners when it comes to music. I think that there's a whole load of people that just they kind of hear music, but they don't listen to it, if you know what I mean by that. So I think it's on there, it's on the radio, or it's in the background when I'm in a pub and I'm drinking and you're talking. It's like entertainment for me because it's noise, and I'm quite liking the noise, but it's not. They're not actually sitting there listening to it. They're not absorbing it and wanting to be in that kind of space to be moved by it necessarily or anything like that. Which I do think is a shame, but I think that's partly down to again the fact that we absorb all of this stuff online as opposed to having listening parties like I did when I was young, where we invited people and we'd literally all sit around whilst the record was put on. Can you imagine that? What a wonderful thing. Maybe it will all happen again. Yeah, well, maybe it will happen again, because vinyl's making a comeback, physical copies of things are making a comeback. I think it just needs people to go, right, actually, there is something brilliant about actually just getting together in a space and listening to music and then actually talking about what you've just listened to and making it more of a cultural experience than just hearing it in the background. We may get there. We get there. So what are you working on at the moment, Emily Gray?
Well, it's interesting that you were kind of talking about really listening to music, because the next thing that I'm working on is something like that's kind of a bit controversial. So I released an EP last year called Apocalypse, and it's like a 9-minute long EP made up of like small songs, which are like chapters. And it's a bit like, it's a concept EP, so it's a story, and it's got like spoken word poetry in it, and it's just like me and a guitar and a bunch of harmonies. And my next release is a similar vibe to that, except it's about a battery hen from the perspective of the hen. So it's not easy
Wow.
listening by any means. It's a
No.
horrible song,
Wow,
but it's
wow, wow. That is, do you know what? You've just blown my mind.
yeah.
Absolutely blown. Yeah. I mean, I've, I can't say that I've had a single other conversation on here over like about 360 conversations now where somebody has come on with such an interesting concept. A concept album about the sort of the thought process of a battery hen being in that whole environment and that situation. Yeah.
So this one is just a song. So my
One
EP
song.
before was a concept EP, but this is just one song. I think it's about
One
4
song.
minutes long.
Yeah.
But it's not easy listening, you know, it's not the kind of thing you want to stick on while you're cleaning your house or something. I'm not really sure what the audience is, like people who like to be depressed. I'm not sure.
I think I think it's entirely original, which is brilliant. It has
Thank
its own
you.
artistic merit. What about visuals for that? Are you going to work with anyone in terms of like visually representing that as well, or?
I would like to, but the budget is non-existent at the moment. The budget needs to build itself up first. We'll see what happens. I mean, if it turns out that, you know, some money comes into the budget, maybe I'll have a look at. I think it would be cool to have like a lyric video, like some kind of dark lyric video. But we'll just see what
Oh,
happens.
sod the budget. Right. Okay. Right. Forget the budget. Throw the budget out the window, guys, folks. If you're listening, right, I'm talking to all of you highly creative people out there that actually listen to this, because I clearly it isn't mainstream radio people that listen to my show. All of you people out there that are creative, I want video creatives, I want storyboarders, I want people that are really into visual arts or anything, people that can draw, whatever. Emily has come up with an amazing concept for a song, something that I have never heard before, and you can be part of that. Okay, so if you would like to get involved, all you've got to do is connect with Emily on the various social media platforms. What are you on? I know you're on Instagram because that's where I found you. Where else are you on? Anything else?
I'm on all the things. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Threads. What else is there? Facebook, all the things.
Right, she's on all of the things, right? So do connect with her and say, yes, I'm doing my degree in film, or yes, I'm a fine artist, or I'm a creative and I can do this, or if you're an animator or something like that, and you'd like to get involved and you would like to be part of creating one of the most interesting and frankly, most creative concepts ever in terms of music and art, please do get involved. Simple. There we go. We sorted that out. Hopefully some people will get in touch and there will be a video before we know it. If that happens, do let me know. That would be marvelous.
Yeah.
I can't see why people wouldn't want to. Why would people not want to be part of something like that? That is just, I mean, it's just mind-blowingly different. That's fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it, because it's one of those things, like, I didn't know if it would be a good idea. I'm still not sure if it's a good idea, but I think, wasn't it David Bowie said that you need to be creating art that makes you feel uncomfortable? Otherwise, you're not in the space that you need to be to really grow.
I
And
don't think that necessarily. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything in the world of creativity. I don't think there's anything that's necessarily a bad idea. It can be badly. It can be badly done, right? Or the actual way that it's put out there might not be so good. But ultimately, I think the idea has to be a good idea, right? And if it's almost, if you think that it's a bad idea because you think it's a bit left field or that sort of thing, maybe that's because it's never been done before, and maybe that just actually elevates it right to the top in terms of creativity. It might not be right for the time. We all have to accept that. It might be that when you put it out there, a load of people don't get it. You can bet your bottom dollar that in 10 years from now, if they don't get it now, they get it then. So just do it and be celebrated for doing it. I think that's marvelous. Thank you so much for coming and talking about the life of a chicken, your music, a little bit of Spain. There's various things that I've learned during this conversation. I've learned that you can't busk legally in bits of Spain as well, which is a bit shocking to me, actually. But you know, and if you're listening from the Spanish authorities, you've got that wrong. But look, it's been lovely to meet you. I hope that people now, having spent a moment or two with you on this, go and find out a little bit more about you, listen to some of your music, and take you into their hearts. That's all that we can ever ask. Please, folks, if you enjoy Emily's music when you go and listen to it, do stop, take a moment. Don't just listen and disappear off down the shops to do whatever it is you need to get from Tesco's or whatever other shops are available. Please say hello to Emily. Tell her how much you love her, or at least her music, because the other bit might be a bit weird. And you know, spread a little happiness, and that, because that goes a long, long way in life. Emily, thank you so much for joining me today, all the way from Spain. We will be back with more of my music soon. If you've enjoyed this, please do share it amongst your friends, your family, and have a great rest of the day, whatever it is that you're now off to do. Until then, bye for now.